Last week, we met Megan West, a recovering opioid addict from Sheldon, who is presently 7 months sober. She hit rock bottom in prison after she and her colleagues were arrested and charged with knowingly providing false information to purchase at least 30 guns for Boston drug dealers in exchange for heroin and crack cocaine. The Boston men are members of the Latin Kings street gang, regarded as the most violent in the nation. Megan, according to Vermont's U.S. Attorney, too often addicts in Vermont acquire guns and exchange it for drugs, known as a straw purchase. And these guns have been implicated in many out-of-state criminal incidents. How did you get involved with the Latin Kings street gang?
I would have to say I knew a woman and her boyfriend that were selling drugs, and I actually grew up with one of my male co-defendants in the small town, and I would have to say I went over there and they introduced me to these men, and they were selling heroin and crack cocaine.
Okay.
So it wasn't right off did they introduce and say, we'd like you to purchase a firearm. It was, after several months.
After you had a relationship, at least you knew them, the familiarity.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I didn't just walk right in and say, I'm going to buy a firearm for you.
Right.
They would probably think, different. But, I grew a relationship with these people.
Okay.
And not just that, the Latin Kings that were housed in this place.
Right.
And I was asked to do it.
And you said yes because?
I would have to say, at first I was hesitant, but if people don't know, like drug addiction, it consumes you. It consumes your whole body and mind.
Yes.
And when you are either, I would say like in the detox stage, you were going to do about anything.
When you're feeling the withdrawal.
Correct.
Okay.
And so when I was asked, I was hesitant. And then, they convinced me. They had a pretty good talk.
Right.
What's crazy about that is I didn't know that these firearms were going to be trafficked.
Oh, okay. You thought they just wanted it?
Yes. So I guess people can say like I'm naive or, things like that. But I don't want to believe that people are putting harm into other people. And that's been a struggle for me throughout this process.
To understand that.
To understand, yes.
And so you were arrested?
I was arrested, yes.
And you found yourself in prison?
Correct.
What was the hardest lesson that prison taught you?
I'd have to say my hardest lesson. There was many. I would have to say being ripped of your dignity was the hardest lesson. They strip you completely into somebody that you're not. They take your clothes away, your jewelry. You don't get to, wake up and take a shower or eat what you want. You're on a schedule. And I think that was my hardest lesson was everything is ripped from me, and that I can't just wake up and walk out the doors and go home. That I have people that basically cage us like animals, and I don't think that's fair to anybody. So
when you were in that state, was there a thought or event that happened that put you on the path to sobriety?
I would have to say, when I was arrested, I didn't talk to my family for 2 months while I was incarcerated. And I guess thinking about my family and what I put them through, but especially my children, I don't want them to remember me as an addict or, in the Latin Kings or buying guns. Like, I don't want that as their memory of me as a mother.
Right.
Because I'm more than just, a recovering drug addict.
Okay, so what do you believe about yourself now that you did not when you were an addict?
I'd have to say I believe that I'm the most determined person in the world. I guess I have to say that because before I didn't have that, I don't know how to put it into words. Like I didn't have that emotion of like, yes, I'm this person or I'm that person. I always thought that I was a nobody. I was nothing. And I guess that was the hardest thing for me.
So addiction has been described very, very correctly as a crisis of meaning. It's something that was lacking, and now you're trying to find it. And so this is an epidemic, as you know. It's all across the nation. So we're going to continue talking to you this week. Our dialogue will then focus on Vermont's policies that are currently under consideration by the legislature. things like safe injection sites, decriminalizing buprenorphine, and we'll ask Megan if she thinks these measures help or hurt opioid addiction.